I came to this company as an investor. I have two areas which I very much like. The first is the tantalum niobium. The tantalum, I think, is a very interesting area to be able to invest in, and indeed lithium I'm very active in elsewhere, and indeed a project nearby. Slide 3, Nick. Thank you. So the two projects, as I said, both are situated in Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is a very highly rated destination for mining companies in Africa. It's very stable. It's a good business location. I've been working there for 5 years with other projects. Really a very good place to be working. The government, a lot of transparency in all the mining and licensing issues. So on that front, I think it's a very good location for us to be. In terms of what we're doing and the timeline we're doing it, we have two projects effectively in one. So we have both the lithium and the niobium tantalum project. Our timeline is 18 months to have some key deliverables which we're giving to you. And the first is that we're seeking to get to a pilot plant next year on our tantalum niobium project. And we should be able to do that. And at the same time, we're working on resource definition for both of the projects, the lithium and the tantalum niobium. These projects, we should be able to give you maiden resource within 18 months. Both the projects look very good. There's a lot of extensive work historically on them, and we're out in the field right now drilling on those projects, doing several hundred meters of auger drilling at this moment in time. In terms of sorry, next slide, please, Nick. So in terms of the team that we've got together, as I said myself, I've been working in the mine industry for over 20 years, but what we actually bring together here is all the key skills that we need. We have geological skills, we have mining skills, and we have lots of in-country experience. And that in-country experience, I think, is most notable when it comes to the fact that we've already secured $7.5 million in debt financing to take the project to production once we've made a production decision for the tantalum niobium project. Next slide, please. Looking at the lithium market, as many of you will already be familiar, it's in current expansion. EV demand increased 150% in the first 6 months of the year. If you go back 6 years, there were only 4 battery plants in the whole world. Today, there's over 180 in production or being built. This is now happening, so this is really a major area for us. And in terms of the local situation we have in the region, there are several other projects that are more advanced than we have. And if you flip to the next slide, please, Nick. So I'm actually involved with the first of those, which is now called Atlantic Lithium, formerly Iron Ridge Resources. This is on trend to this project, so it has very similar characteristics. We have a more advanced project. We've already entered into a partnership with Piedmont Lithium, who are providing all the financing to take the project to production. But there are also 2 projects also on trend there as well, which have also secured significant financing to be taken forward. And if we're to serve the battery needs of the future, then we need these projects to come on stream on a reasonable timeline. Next slide, please, Nick. I'm going to pass over to Yuval. So Yuval is actually down in Ivory Coast, managing the project day to day. He's not running the company from Mayfair, I'm pleased to say. Yuval, would you like to take over?
Thank you very much, Neil. I hope you hear me well. Regards from my Abidjan, Ivory Coast. I will introduce to those who don't know the coltan, the mineral that contain tantalum and niobium called Colombo tantalite, or coltan. It's mainly used for capacitors and electronics, and also for airspace and aviation industries. Most of the coltan today is produced in the area of Lake Kivu in the DRC, which counted as a conflict area. Most of the production today, 80%, is going to China, and therefore the EU and US declare it as a critical mineral for them. The coltan is a highly precious mineral, and the price of the coltan is defined by the percentage of the tantalum in the concentrate. Today, the market price for 1 ton of coltan is $150,000. Next slide, please. Few words about Ivory Coast, because before the project, Ivory Coast is a very well-developed country in Africa. We can find a very good road infrastructure and electricity grid all over the country. There are two main ports that exporting minerals. The first one, Abidjan port, which exports the manganese that going out from the area of Korogo, and San Pedro port, which export the nickel that coming from the area of Man. Our ATEX project is located in the north of the country, and the surroundings, you can find many gold projects, also big companies as Barrick and Perseus. Next slide, please. Those are the list of our assets. As you can see, the main target is ATEX. It's the only active lithium exploration license in Ivory Coast. The other applications contain a surface of 1,500 square kilometers, which is about 10 times bigger than ATEX. Those applications can be proceed by the decision of the company, and it will be preceded after the work in ATEX will be realized. Next slide, please. The geology of this is the ATEX area, in the area of the village of Touvre. The geology shows large veins of pegmatite that are lying around all the concession. Those pegmatite veins are fertile, and they contain coltan and lithium also. Next slide. Our main target at the moment is the area of Sulpidium in Hill, which contains a high quality lithium. In the samples that we grabbed in the past, we find a very high percentage of lithium, up to 4.91% of lithium oxide. This is the main target, and the exploration has started to find the extension of those fertile pegmatites around the hill. Next slide, please. During the 60s, the local mining company Sodemi and BRGM, the French Geological Institute, made a research in the area of Touvre in order to find coltan in the area. In this research, they discovered the Sulpidium in Hill that I was speaking about, but they also find a very good finding of the coltan. Firing and CSA Global has verified those findings, and CSA defined this area as highly feasible also for coltan exploration. Next slide, please. Some of the findings that we had, we find wide occurrences of pegmatite, which contain pockets of 600 grams per ton of coltan. Just for understanding, in Rwanda, the average cutoff grade for a mine is 100 grams per ton. There was also past finding of very high quality coltan with high percentage of Ta2O5, up to 73.75. Just to remind you, the price of the concentrate defined by the percentage of the Ta2O5. As higher the percentage, the higher the price. We also find that the soils are containing small particles, which will make it very suitable for the MGS that I will speak about it later. And also we find that the coltan that coming from Ivory Coast contain very low radioactivity, which make it safe for shipment by sea, by air. Next slide, please. This is the MGS. It's a patent that combined between shaking table and centrifuge. In a regular traditional washing plant that contains shaking table, the recovery can get up to 60%. With the MGS, we can recover up to 85% by using the technology. The advantage of the MGS that we can capture the small particles down to even 2 microns. Using this MGS as a pilot plant will give us 3 advantages. The first advantage is understanding better the nature of the pegmatites that we are working with. The second advantage that we can design better the full capacity washing plant to be efficient. And the third one is can give us an option to introduce the high quality coltan that coming from Ivory Coast to potential buyers. Next slide, please. As Neil said in the beginning, we are combining between two projects in the same time. For the lithium project, we are going to use exploration method by CSA, a proven method that including auger drilling that already started, diamond drill, geological modeling, and in the end, we get a feasibility study. By using the MGS and the small pilot plant, we can have a better understanding of the coltan, and by the findings, we can increase the capacity and later on to produce early cash flow generation. As Neil mentioned, we have for that, for the full capacity washing plant, we have on the debt facility for that. Next slide, please. This is our exploration program that already started. The first phase started the grid of auger drilling. You can see in the green, this is the area of the rich lithium superdium hill. And by this campaign, we're starting to find the extension of this hill. Except of the auger drilling, we are doing a very detailed geological modeling and mapping of the area. And we are also making a soil test in laboratory for the efficiency of the MGS for our soils. All the results we tested by accredited lab as ALS and SGS, and will be published later on. Next slide, please. One of the targets of firing strategic minerals is to be an ethical source for coltan. And for this reason, we have an agreement with a company that named Better Chain. The company is specialized in certified supply chain of minerals, and they will ensure that firing is standing in the top standard of ethical source, and will allow us to export the future material to the market in the US and EU. We also obliged by the local mining code to execute environmental and social impact study. This study already started, and this will ensure that we are standing in also comply with the local law for the environment. Next slide, please. We'll hand it back to Neil to summarize and for questions. And
thank you, Yuval. So just to bring this together for you guys, the key fact with this company is that unlike a lot of exploration companies, we're actually ramping up to a production scenario pretty quickly. We should be in pilot production by the end of next year and be able to make a decision on going to full production the year following. Also, unlike other exploration companies, we're actually going forward with significant financing already secured. So we raised 4 million at the IPO. We listed last month with a market capitalization of 11 million. We've already secured financing so we can build the plant when we make that production decision. So that's very significant with the tantalum. And if you look at the tantalum market, as Yuval pointed out, it's actually in significant growth at the moment. The principal area of growth is electronics. So anywhere where you have miniaturized electronics, such as your mobile phone, you'll find tantalum. It's everywhere. And indeed, lithium, of course, at the same time, is in a huge boom right now. Prices are at all-time high, but the outlook looks particularly good. And indeed, you've seen from the number of very aggressive deals, particularly from Chinese companies, actually acquiring projects or JVing projects to take in production. As I said earlier, I work on another project where we've already secured all the financing to take production from our US partner. So there's really that prospect there if we can get to maiden resource in the next 2 years. So in terms of future dilution, I'm expecting not to see very much dilution compared to a lot of the exploration companies out there, which I think is highly attractive. In terms of our timelines, as I say, 18 months, I think we can achieve a great deal. We're out drilling in the field already. We're doing several hundred meters a week. What we're seeing is very encouraging. Obviously, we have to get the assay results together and that will come out next year. But in terms of what we hope to see in terms of extension of the strike area, we're very encouraged so far. We'll see how we go. And that really brings together the presentation at this point in time, and we can open up for questions.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Yuval. A couple of questions coming through. With regards to the ATEX projects, what's the local infrastructure like there? Will much investment be required?
Yuval?
Basically, it depends on the findings on the field, but the infrastructure to the site is completely open. There is electricity grid in the area of Tuvre, and the roads, there are excellent road together.
Okay. Who are your major shareholders and who came on board at the IPO?
It's mainly high net worth individuals. We've got a lot of supporters and some friends of mine. For example, Jim Mullen was an investor in the IPO round. We hope to bring on some more institutional interest as we go into next year. And certainly as we can demonstrate that we can take the tantalum project to production, I expect we'd get very good value recognition from that, because actually getting exposure to tantalum production, which is not in the DRC and therefore a potential conflict mineral, is a good thing to be in.
And finally, you put an announcement out today about the acquisition of Alliance Minerals. Can you highlight the importance of this in the overall growth strategy and development of the business?
Yeah, so this is effectively an adjoining area. So it's also highly prospective and allows us to expand the area across which we're working. Yuval, do you have any additional comment?
Yeah, this, as I said in the presentation, the pegmatites line around from both sides of the concession. So we identified the continuous of the pegmatites in the Alliance area, and the combined area will create a 500 square kilometers exploration areas with fertile pegmatites for lithium and gold.